right, family, welcome back to Curious Creations. I have shown you a few knives from my past collection from early on, and I want to do that again. I've shown you the good, the bad, and the very ugly, and I'm going to keep that concept going. As I've kind of worked my way along in this skill of knife making, I've come across many different ideas. The idea of neck knives, holstered hip carry knives, some more camping knives, fixed carry knives. I've worked with sheaths, without sheaths. I've used different materials to create the knives, and I want to make sure that I show you the range of things that I've tried and the things that worked and didn't work. So first off, let's jump into, let's take the ugly first. So this was also one of the very first knives that I made. This one was literally a shard. I made a sheath for it later on in the process, and I've changed the handle on multiple occasions. So now this is a paracord handle. You can see the pink and black was something that I wanted to make for my fiance so that it matched color profiles that she enjoyed and liked. Since I've upgraded her knife and given her something much better that I personally am much more proud of, and I think she likes more too, obviously. But let's get to the knife. This is the scary part. So pulling this out of the sheath, yuck. This one has gone through a lot of iterations, has gone through a lot of different designs, and as you can see, what's left over is just a hunk of metal. I was playing around with blade shapes. I kept playing with this edge, and to the point where it became a very straight edge with no belly. It used to have a belly here, but I kept messing around with it. You may also be able to see here that there's a little bit of rust on there, but I also blued this at one point because I was trying to figure out stone washing. You can also see that I couldn't figure out whether this was going to be a full flat grind or what was going to happen there. There were a lot of chunks on the back here, so I think this one qualifies for bad and ugly for sure. I tried to save it with the paracord handle wrap, which I do think turned out pretty cool with the little micro cord at the very end to give you something else to hold on to. From a functionality standpoint, not very comfortable knife because it's so thin. And it's just not comfortable at all. Guys, I'm not proud of this one. This one's ugly. But it's part of the process. I needed to learn how to make a sheath. I needed to learn different handle materials. I wanted to play with different blade profiles, blade shapes, and this became a playground. I think the sheath turned out all right. The color pattern turned out pretty cool. The paracord handle and the little pull cord at the end, those are fun. But the knife itself, yikes. Let's get into then what I think would probably qualify as bad. There's a few things. Let's start with what I like about it. I like the funky shape that you get out of this. This is deceiving. While it looks like it could be a very functional sort of fillet knife, fish knife, it doesn't have the flex that you want to get in and out of that material with ease. It is thin, it is slicey, and one of the things I was playing around with here was the grind shape. I wanted to try and see if I could refine that, and I can see that I definitely developed the skill a little bit better in getting a symmetrical pattern on both sides, but then getting a flat line all the way across. So I was able to bring that grind into the depth that I wanted on the blade all the way down. So that's where I refined the skill. But why I call this bad is because it just doesn't function as it looks. Also, this sharpening choil here is kind of large and obnoxious. The jimping on the back is a little tough, so it digs in a little bit too much. I extended the jimping there onto the handle, which was a different concept, different idea. Wanted to try it. Turned out I didn't like it. I also went with screw-in pins rather than to go with a glued-on handle scale there. And I wish I had glued it. And again, like I said before, I'll probably go back maybe and refine some of these blades. And this one might be one that I take another look at. It's actually kind of a comfortable knife. So I'll give it that it's comfortable. The design is probably not ideal. The blade shape's kind of fun, funky, kind of gives you the fishy vibe. Um, and the handle scale material is one of the new steps for me. This was a layered G10 material that I tried for the first time. And this one was fun to grind down and kind of get those swirling patterns as you kind of got down from black through tan to green, OD green, and then back into black again as you kind of curve through those colors. That was fun to play around with. So the experiment here in this knife was the blade shape and the handle material primarily. Um, but all in all, again, part of the experience of knife making, and I would love to work with this G10 handle material again, and I think I will. I haven't since, but seeing this again reminds me to get out there and try that again. All right, let's move on to what I think for today is the good. As I mentioned again, the idea with a lot of my early on knives was EDC, and I was really looking for something that I could make comfortable and easy to carry, and so I was definitely going for neck knives. So the one that I presented last time as my proudest one, it has some similarities with this one, but the similarities really truly stop at the handle and the sheath. So again, looking at the sheath design was early on in my skill set. So this one's a little tight, but it does have that satisfying click as well, where you kind of get that satisfying plug. It's easy enough to deploy from the neck as well. But what we're here for is the blade. So this one was my first attempt at a stonewash finish. This is also a saw blade. And what I really do enjoy with this one, I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy almost everything about this. The only thing I don't like about the design on this knife is the way that the handle falls off the backside of that blade there. I wish it would have kind of come up a little bit higher, somewhere up to about here and curved toward the blade edge. But all in all, it's still a functional design. I like where the sharpening choil landed, sort of at the bottom of the blade, protecting my finger, but also giving me enough space to get in there and give it a nice sharp edge. This again was my first time playing with stonewashing, and so when looking at the stonewash finish here, I think I just blued this one with permablue, and then I went with a small jug, some WD-40 and some river rocks or river pebbles, and I went to shaking the heck out of it. So I want to say that this turned out, let's see if I can get you a little bit of a closer look at that stonewash finish. The blade profile was also very different for me as well. I can say that I am a fan of it. It looks good. It functions really well. Yeah, and I'm proud. I carried this for quite a while too, so the similarities that I mentioned to the last one was the fact that it has this oak handle. It's also got the cut there so that I can get 4 fingers on. This one I left a little bit more material at the end so I can get that 4th finger on a little more comfortably. So this one fits well in the hand to the point where I could go through and carve if I needed to. I removed the idea of the jimping on the backside there. Came in with a different point as well. And I also used a smaller pen. So these, I want to say, were maybe 3/16 steel pins that I dropped in there because I kind of wanted them to disappear. But I kept the sort of bulbous shape here on the front finger hold because I also still wanted to give the most meat to my forefingers to hold on to, knowing that this was going to sort of trail off in my hand. I wanted to make sure that the meat of the blade or the handle was behind my forefingers. Still comfortable blade from the sheath standpoint. It fit really well. It deploys really easily, and I think it actually looks good. The balancing point on this one too is sort of toward the first pin, so it definitely balances in those first 2 fingers. Again, this one I would say, if you look at the edge geometry, this one because of the stone washing, this one gives you a nice clean look at the edge on that blade. And this one is quite sharp and does the job. I carried this for a while, and I actually might go back to carrying it again. I'm a fan of this knife. Let's give this a quick cut test and see how that works. Alright, so getting into the cut test, I'll get close to the camera here so you can see what we've got going on. But when you get into the cut, it's a nice clean cut all the way through. A little bit of fraying, so this edge could probably use a sharpening. But as I've said before, this is something that I did carry for a while, so it definitely got some use. But it's a sharp blade, gets through paper with ease. But I found myself using this for the majority of the time was around the house, quick cuts, cutting through cordage, and then also a little bit of carving, so just kind of messing around in the backyard with sticks and stuff. So even through that, I want to say I've only sharpened this one once since the very beginning, so the fact that it's still slicing through paper there shows that the edge retained really well. And I think the finish has not been spoiled. If anything, what's kind of cool about the bluing and stone washing is that as you use it, you get sort of a wear pattern, and you can see some of the wearing there, and how it wears differently, but you get a wear pattern in there that shows just that it's been used and it's been loved. So I do appreciate this knife. I do want to make sure we kept this video short, so that is my good. I want to say this guy is my bad and ugly, and this one might just be bad, but sometimes I look at it and I see ugly as well. But again, when we're going through these knives, I want to make sure that I'm being honest with you and showing you how I've progressed along the way. So from this shard of metal and the weird shapes that it was to something much more refined and usable in this blade, you can see I've come a long way. And honestly, those are probably only divided by maybe 2 months of experience. So this was very early on, and this was sort of the playground where I played around with different techniques and how to cut. But again, looking at this, I've got my good, my bad, and ugly, and all of the above. All right, family, thanks for sticking through this video. I would love it if you could jump down in the comment section below, tell me what you thought, and do please make sure you like and subscribe. As I'm building this channel up, I want to show you some of the things that I've done and present some new things and continue to play around with my DIY ideas. So I appreciate you coming out, and get ready for the next one.